Hi, everybody. Today is May 7th, 2025. Today is Wednesday, CalPADS Q&A. My name is Alex Sandi. I'm a data analyst at CSIS supporting CalPADS, and driving for us today is Gary Gerwer.
Hello.
And hey, Gary. For announcements, we are officially in our end of year submission. It opened yesterday. It was a bit of a slow start because revisions were taking a while, but all LEAs should have revisions now. So you should see end of year 1, 2, 3, and 4 in your certification screen in CalPADS. And Gary has the calendar up on the screen for you. The initial deadline is July 25th. And then we have our amendment window, and final deadline is August 8th. So mark your calendars. And speaking of marking your calendars, we have the end of year milestones in our user manual, and on there we have a recommended day for 0 errors, July 11th. And Gary's showing us how to get there. So this is in our user manual. You have end of year milestones, and there you go. So on 7-Eleven, once you have 0 errors, you can go to your 7-Eleven, get a free Slurpee, but only if you have 0 errors. Next up, we have flashes. So we've had Flash 300 that went out, and that talked about reclassifying students over summer. And it's the same guidance that has been provided in previous flashes. It's just that this is just an updated version of it with the dates in academic years of 24-25. But it has that nice little table in the middle that talks about the different scenarios for students and when to reclassify them, what date to use, when you should expect to see them on the report. So that's a really good one to reference. We had also Flash 301. And that it was the much anticipated info on the EDCS, which stands for Education Data Collection System. And in EDCS is where LEAs report data for ASVAB, the seal of biliteracy, and now we'll be reporting Sunbucks information, right? So this flash talks about how to access EDCS, and it also gives little snippets of each of the data collections. So if you haven't seen that, 301, that's the one that you want to take a look at for any questions on how to access EDCS or deadlines for the other data collections. And lastly, regional meetings. So we just had a regional meeting, it feels like to me, but we're going to have another one. May 20th and 21st, I believe. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you, Gary. And so if you haven't registered for those, really highly suggest that you do. We talk about all sorts of really cool stuff that are coming down the pike and stuff that you want to be aware of. So just register for those. It's going to be the last one for this year. And I think that's all my announcements. Angela, do you have updates?
It looks like we don't have anybody from the CalPADS operations office today, so just bear that in mind when you're thinking about your questions that you're going to be asking. Dominic is here from the SPED office.
And I'm here.
Yeah,
Paula's here.
Paula's here.
Oh, Paula, you are here.
Louis
Okay.
is here. Yeah, they slipped in here.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, next that. And Gary's got up on the screen the fixes that went in yesterday.
Awesome. Okay. So Paula, any announcements on your end?
Nope. Nothing.
Okay. Oh, and Dominic, sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just waiting my turn. So the road shows, we have finished 10 of 16. Another one tomorrow in Fresno. I'm going to put the link to the rest of the remaining shows in the chat right now. What's not available on that page, but I wanted to let everybody know is we are going to have a statewide virtual roadshow on June 3rd. I believe it's scheduled for the afternoon, 1 to 4 p.m. So once we have the registration information available for that, that will be sent out as well, so that those of you who aren't able to meet in person or join any of these roadshows in person, hopefully you're able to attend the statewide virtual. And that's all I have.
Awesome. Okay. All All right, so we're going to dive into questions, and we're going to start off with Sin from Danuba. Question 1 that asks, are we required to report the school the student attended for attendance recovery, or are we only reporting attendance data? We just had a state call with our SIS vendor, and they wanted to know what information do we need to report. That's something we're updating from what our last guidance was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm kind of confused about that question, but you're reporting the AR data on the STAS file, and the STAS file is based on where students are enrolled. So you're not reporting where the student attended the AR session. So I don't know if that answers the question. We have been talking to the vendors.
That's how I read it, Paula. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And we've been talking to the vendors about it. So it's funny to me that they're wanting to know what information they need to report. But there is a flash that should be coming out hopefully in the next week or two that gives all the detail for both AR and expanded learning program collections.
Thank you. Next up, we have Laura from Santa Rosa City. Question 1 says, to piggyback on Danuba's question, what happens when a student moves from one site to another within the district and they have banked days in the summer?
Right, so the flash does address that. LEAs are limited to a total of 10 days per LEA. So if a student moves from one school site within an LEA to another, it's going to be up to the LEA as to who they're going to attribute those days to. Theoretically, you would attribute them to the days where to the school where the student had the absences and earned those days, but we know that's not always going to be the case because they might have banked the days in the summer. So say in the scenario where they go to some summer session and they bank 10 days, then they're absent 10 days in the first school they're enrolled in, then that's kind of an easy scenario. If they end up in 3 different schools within the LEA and all of those add up to more than 10 days, then it's up to the LEA where they want to attribute those AR days to.
Okay. But Flash is coming, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it actually has those kind of scenarios.
All right, moving on, Larnie from Oxnard. Question 1 says, can I get the denominator and numerator when calculating the RFEP percentage? If there's a documentation I can refer to, that would be better. Thank you. And then we have a couple of answers, Ethan and Elise, both saying numerator use report 2.16 and denominator use report 8.1. I don't know that we have any documentation that talks about that.
I don't think so. I think this is what I've done is what they're suggesting.
Okay. So thanks for chiming in, Ethan and Elise. Very helpful. Thank you. Angela, question 1, do you know when CalPADS Flash 301 will be posted online?
Usually it takes a couple days, so hopefully within this week. This one's hopefully short and easy to quickly get on our website.
Yeah, that was just released yesterday, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Sin, I see your question 2. We'll circle back to that. We're going to go on to Brian from Cyrus. Hey, Brian. Question 1 says, in slide 39 of the Spring Roadshow PowerPoint, exiting graduates and completers that are not returning. Can we go over this? Dominic?
Excellent. I shared the slide with Gary. Hopefully everybody can see that. Essentially, we're asking that students that graduate and are not going to be returning are exited from special education, and that the effective date of that status be the day after their enrollment exit. And the reason for that is because if the enrollment exit and the status of not eligible are the same date, that student will not count as a student with disabilities for end of year reporting. And so I guess I see Joy has a similar question down below, getting pushback that the exit date needs to align with areas in CalPADS for college financial aid applications. And I can't speak to that, but I can speak to the reasoning behind this request or this guidance.
Okay. Thank you very much. Heather, question 1. Can we create an account for the nutrition director for EDCS for Sunbucks, and how? I believe that Flash talks about access. It says, to request access for new users who did not submit any data last year, the LEA admin must email, and then it shows the email. It's a little bit down to the bottom.
It's
Closer to the bottom?
basically, it's
Oh, sorry,
basically the same as last year. So when EDCS opened up, it automatically provided access to all CalPADS admins. If you are a new CalPADS admin after May 1st, then you won't have access and you'll have to request it. If you're not an LEA admin and your district wants you to submit the data, you need to basically ask your CalPADS admin to request access for you. And it's very simple. They just send an email. If you were submitting data last year, you should still be authorized. But everyone else, anyone who were authorized last year and did not submit data, or any non-CalPADS admin person, any non-CalPADS admin person who got authorization last year and did not submit any data, you're going to have to request it again. If you did submit data last year, you should still be have access. And if you forgot your password, you just need to reset it.
Heather says, I log in and I don't see any options to create an account for the nutrition director. So you wouldn't create it yourself?
No, you have to follow the instructions provided here, which is basically you're going to send an email to the education data collection at cde.ca.gov and basically ask for request access for whoever it is you want to request access for. So if it's your nutrition services director, you would give them the name, email, and all the instructions. If you look on our website, there's all the instructions for how you get access, you request access for somebody. So just go to our website and it'll have all those instructions.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay, and Angela just did a copy paste of what I think was in the Flash. So
yeah, and the instructions though that are on our website is going to give you more detail, like exactly what information to put in that email.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, moving on, we have Joy's question. Joy from Placer County, SELPA. I believe Dominic answered this already, so I'm not going to go over this. I think that the question still remains on whether this is an issue for college financial aid applications, and I just don't know that we have the answer for that. So Joy, if you need more clarification, let us know. Bavita, question 1. Generally, if the students do not have an EOI status, which most are not until the end of the school year, we receive an error in end of year 3. I don't see them this year. Is that a known issue? If they do not have an end of year status.
Does she mean if they're not exited yet, they get an error?
Yes, that's probably what she's thinking. I don't see that error for her if she haven't exited it yet.
Uh-oh.
I'm looking at her certification. It's not showing. that error.
Yeah. Okay. It likely is an issue. I think, Bavita, if you could please submit a ticket and give us maybe just one SSID example that you haven't exited, and we can escalate that. Thank you. Alrighty. Rocky, question 1. If the student transferred out and was expected to go to a regular school, but went to a court school instead for 1 day as the next enrollment, should the exit code be updated to T370 from T160? Let me see, 370. Student left. Yeah, I think if it's a court school that doesn't have a CDS code, right? I mean, I would think if it's a COE and it's, it's a court school within the COE, you would just do a T160 because CalPADS would see that next enrollment. Otherwise, 370 would be appropriate. If they're still working on a high school diploma. I think that's the key there.
Yep.
Moving on to Lily, question 1. I was told at a CalPADS watch party. That sounds fun, huh? I was told at a CalPADS watch party that since we are a TK8, I can certify EOY without submitting any files. Is this true? And then Jaime says we only report 9th through 12th grade. That's correct. So for end of year 1, we want departmentalized courses. And so you can not give us any files for end of year 1, right? Because you have all self-contained courses. However, you still have to certify your reports. So your reports are all going to show 0, and you're just going to say, yes, that's correct. So you don't submit files, but you still LEA approve your end of year 1. Follow-up says, can I certify end of year 1 before 2, 3, and 4? I would say you don't have end of year 1 technically. So I would say, yes, that's fine. We're not going to monitor to check that you did 2 before 1, kind of, that's fine. Okay. Question 2 for Larnie, we'll circle back. Terry, question 1. Is the ELAS code and date the only items needed before the May 15th pool for students redesignated? What are the crucial times redesignated data should be uploaded to CalPADS? Oh, I know this was in a flash. 290 something.
Oh, it's not in 300?
Yeah, I think it should be in 300.
Is it?
Is it 300 or the other one?
Or 277?
I think
it's I think it's 270. Basically, the idea is that you need, I think it's actually the date is I don't know where the May 15th date is coming from. That might be just what we're suggesting, that you need to try to RFEP your student, get all the information together by May 15th in order to update your ELAS. Otherwise, it rolls. Yeah, they won't be included in this year's.
Rebecca put Flash 298. I think that's the one I was thinking of. Thank you, Rebecca. Where it talks about needing to do RFEP before the summative.
Going on with my mouse.
If you don't RFEP your students, I believe by the 31st of May, then they're going to be counted as needing to have taken the summative. And so that'll count against your participation rate. So you need to, if their kid's going to be RFEP'd, you need to get that into CalPADS. Otherwise, what happens is their current EL status will go over to TOMS, and TOMS will think, hey, they need to be taking the summative, and they haven't taken the summative, so then you get dinged on the participation rate. And I think the May 15th date is just to kind of play it safe. because that data has to travel, from CalPads over to Tom's, etc.
Hopefully that gives you the info you need, Terry. Like Thea, question 1. Regarding the seal of civic engagement, are we reporting students in grades 11 and 12 only, or are we reporting all grade levels as they complete the requirements? I know the Flash that just came out 301 has a link to more info.
Yeah, the instructions about civil engagement, if you go there, it'll provide, if you go to the state seal of civil engagement pay instructions, it should have that detail there. If you keep scrolling down, there over under grade level, I think does it say anything about if there's a requirement?
Oh yeah, I think
I pass it?
validations.
Yeah. Yeah, right there. This field must be populated with 11 or 12. I think the belief is that they probably shouldn't be able to earn it before that.
Okie dokie. Thank you. Oops. Angela, I think I accidentally deleted your answer to that question. You posted a link and I accidentally deleted it. Sorry. Claudia from Hawthorne, question 1. Apologies if this has already been asked. Could you please clarify what data needs to be uploaded to qualify students for the DC extended benefits? Also, will this apply only to the current year, or can we submit records for students who qualified in our base year 22-23 as well? That's the question is for Sunbucks.
Right. So if you go to the EDCS flash that just came out, you will see that we have, and this is something that has to get updated in the Sunbucks flash, but to EDCS, there's 4 things that you will be submitting that you can submit. One is UBA, one is NSLP application, one is the date that DC benefits were extended. That is for the 2024-25 school year. The question as to whether or not you can apply extended benefits based on someone whose benefits are extended in the 22-23 school year. And I'm assuming that's because that was the base year and you just kept rolling it over. I will need to go back and ask our nutrition folks about that. So yeah, there you go. Those 4 bullets there. You will see the 3rd bullet, the date the LEA extended benefits to the student based on another member of the household being directly certified. So I will confirm with our nutrition folks about whether or not those extended benefits, how long they last for, or does it have to occur annually? I kind of suspicion is it might have to be annually because Sunbucks is something that has to be confirmed annually. But I will ask them.
Yeah. Joyce, your question 2. We'll circle back. Oh, and Lily has a question 2. Okay, so we've done all question 1. So I'm going to hit questions 2 now, starting with Sin at 307. Question 2 says, if a student receives CalFresh but is not identified as direct cert in CalPads, DC extract, the name didn't match, and parents submit a UBA, will they get 2 cards for the student, or will the system know to only give them 1 Sunbucks card?
The system will know. They will every time we send out cards, they first check to see whether a card was sent over. And also, if their school age, 6 to 18, it's likely, even if they weren't in the DC match, it's likely they were still identified because that data is actually being pulled directly from the source data. So there's no matching involved. It's coming from CDSS's system that maintains that information. So they should probably have been identified that way. But regardless, if they end up submitting a UBA, then and they were directly certified, then only one card will go to them.
Okay. Larnie's Q2 at 313 says, for CTE completer reporting, I understand students have to have a grade of C- or better. And is that requirement only for the dashboard? Or does this mean if a student received a grade of D, do not send them to CalPADS as a pathway completer? Can we still send them as a CTE participant? I believe the requirement is a CTE requirement. There's no validation in CalPADS that's looking at the grade level. However, you need to stand behind your data, right? So if you are giving us that they're a completer and they didn't meet the qualifications, if someone comes back to you because you're getting funding for CTEG or something and they want to do an audit, you better be prepared to defend why you give us a student that was a completer when they didn't meet the qualifications that they're asking for, right?
Right. Although it is true that the C- or better is a dashboard criteria.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the CTE stuff.
No, that's a dashboard criteria. And I'm not sure. Would have to check as to whether or not. I think we only validate whether or not the CTE completer completed a course.
Right.
Right. It doesn't
Capstone.
look for the grade.
No.
But our AMARD people, when they're doing the dashboard, will only be using those who have a C- or better because they can see the grade, right? We just don't validate that.
Right.
So, that means that you just should submit in the completer and we'll figure out whether or not they qualify for the dashboard. And also just FYI, you guys don't send them as participants. We just identify participants based on the fact that they took a CTE course in a given year.
Exactly. So just with the student course completion, because they had a state course code between the 7,000 and 8,999, automatically are considered a CTE participant, regardless of whether they're in a pathway or not. You're just automatically a participant. All right. Moving on to Joy's Q2 at 321 says, I'm not sure who to refer LEAs to that are questioning the exit date of SPED graduates aging out students. I'm getting several emails from CalPADS LEA administrators stating they anticipate issues with using the day after. I've communicated the information from Dominic, but where do I send them for further clarification? And then Kimberly gives a very important distinction here that the SDNR exit date, the enrollment exit date, stays the same. It's the SWID status. It's the status effective start date. That's the one that needs to be a day after the enrollment exit date. So hopefully that's clear for everyone. Enrollments should stay, whenever the end of the school year is, that's when the kid should be exited from the enrollment. The day after is on the status file. Okay. Heather's Q2 at 327 says, is there a glitch with SCNR 718 E3, invalid student age for AD grade level? And Gary's showing us in the user manual, there's no active defects.
It's a different error though. I think she might have had a typo in her number.
Heather, do you know let me see if I can. Let's see. Elise says, many LEAs are getting 2 different errors with the same number.
Well, that's fun. Heather, what district are you from? Or school?
Oh, wow. Stephanie says, yes, that's true. We are getting the same thing, 2 different errors.
Was this one of the recent ones that was converted? Maybe there's some fallout from that.
Mm.
I haven't seen it reported yet. Have you guys?
Yeah, no.
One of you three is gonna need to put a ticket in, I think, so we can.
Natasha did, and she gave us the ticket number. So
Oh,
I'll
she
go,
did. Okay.
yeah, I'll go hunting for that and see if we can chase that down.
Okay. So it's the same error number, but different error description.
Is it just on the certification page or in the data discrepancy as well? Because
Hmm.
if it's not, then you could probably focus on the data discrepancy errors in the meantime. But again, yeah, it's a an issue probably.
It's a good question, Kyron, because when I went to Natasha's data discrepancies, I only see it for the STAS error.
Looks like Stephanie put an image in the chat of what she's seeing.
Can't tell if that's the DD screen or the cert screen.
Like we'll have a new known issue pretty soon.
Oh, okay. Natasha says it's the cert screen.
And it's showing the same amount of errors. So that's looks like it may be some kind of connection there.
Okay, I found it, Natasha. Thank you. I will take your ticket and send it up.
Okay, so that one's definitely a glitch. Thanks, folks. Oh, I'm seeing now all the answers, certification page. I was looking just on the thread, so. Okay. We have one more question from Madison, Q1. Hello, we are currently working on connecting with former students and or their parents or guardians for their post-secondary survey. We have a unique case where one student exited with a certificate of completion, but has since returned and is actively attending school as they are still under 22 and entitled to continue special education services. How should we proceed given the circumstances as the student is no longer considered exited from the program?
For those students, you would just not want to submit survey results because they're still attending.
Correct, that's right. I think, in fact, I think you'd get a validation error saying that the student's still enrolled. Okay. Question 3 from Larnie. From one of the EOI trainings I attended, we were told that the WBLR is a measure in CCI. Can you confirm what Wobbler data is measured in CCI? I only know of work-based learning for students with IEP that is measured for CCI career readiness. Can you confirm? Don't know the two off. Oh, there you go, Gary. That was fast.
Had it up already.
So it's the transition classroom and work-based learning experiences. And I believe, Dominic, correct me if I'm wrong, it's only for students on an IEP. But there's a specific on certificate of completion. Is that right?
I don't know that it's
No.
specifically cert of completion, but I do know that those are the two SPED transition classroom and work-based learning experiences are
Yeah.
the two categories that we bring up when talking about end of year.
Mhm.
Rebecca put in the chat that it's available only to students with IEPs who earn a special education certificate of completion.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I did make it up. Cool. Okay. And we don't have any questions. I'm going to take this time to plug in that Marshall has a cool playlist. If you haven't um, had the privilege of hearing it, there's a lot of really fun music specific to CalPads.
Yeah, it's just a way to pass the time while you work. I'm gonna be adding a lot of just instrumentals and something so it doesn't distract you while you're working too. But I'm gonna be working with that. It's just something.
And I think that there's one, I forget who posted it on the chat earlier at the beginning of the call. There's one specific to Sunbucks, right?
Yes.
And just by the way, for Sunbucks, the Nutrition Services Division, their webinar they had the other, I think last week, they have it up on a URL YouTube thingy. And so we will send that out probably in the digest next week, unless y'all think we should do it faster and we can just send it out on a listserv message or do both.
Oh, Stephanie says, we just received an email with the recording for the Sunbucks webinar today. Yeah, that's, I think Paula was just talking about, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
great. So you got it. Good. And I'm all for that one where the next challenge is for the CSIS team to develop a dance routine.
No.
I want to see, I think you guys should, and I want to see that.
I can do that if they let me do it. I did it for one of our trainings with all the trainers, and they only allowed me to put it up one time.
Hilarious.
That's good.
I did one with my granddaughter on TikTok, but I don't think I'm going to do a dance routine for work.
Well, all right. I guess if there's no more questions, we'll give you back 15 minutes or so. Yeah. Hope everyone has a great Mother's Day weekend. All of the mamas out there and mama figures.
As well,
Congratulations.
Alex.
Thank you.
Alex, that's your first, it's your first Mother's Day, right?
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
Do it big. Do it big. This is the best one, right?
Let me know when the recording is done, Marshall, so I can show it to my husband.
Okay, no problem.